Oh,
Okay, hello everyone. Today is Wednesday, February the 1st. This is February, and welcome to Black History Month. And I was looking at some of the uh, uh, things that, little known Black histories and things. I think this, it's just really amazing how everybody throughout the course and time in history has contributed something, So that's one of the things that I find that is really fascinating about life in general, about this world that we live in. Okay,
oh,
let's go
sure.
ahead and begin in prayer. Just settle back and allow yourselves to be centered in the oneness and the wholeness of creation. And as we are seated here, comfortably rooted in this place of absolute oneness, we allow all frequency and vibration to be healed, cleansed, invigorated, dispensed in and through us as we continue our wholeness and peace and mercy. And as we grow, knowing that this wholeness is truly who we are, we stand blessed. We stand blessed. We allow ourselves to be blessed. We look forward to this blessing. And as the more we accept and expand in our blessing, this is the blessing that we release. We release blessings to all so that everyone is under one mind and one consciousness of good, under one mind and one consciousness of love, under one mind and one consciousness of health and wholeness and peace throughout all of the ages. And with that we say, and so it is. Let's see, what happened here? Oh. Okay, I don't know how that worked. Let's see. Okay, well, that was kind of weird. We just had a little technical difficulties, but I think we're all up and running again now. So we are reading from chapter 2, the separation and the atonement, the section 6, fear and conflict, and we are on paragraph 7. So Harriet, would you like to go ahead and begin reading?
I can, yes. The first corrective step in undoing the error is to know first that the conflict is an expression of fear. Say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love, or the fear could not have arisen. When the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accounting the atonement as the remedy. Let me read that one again. Then the whole, I'll go back to 2. They say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love, or the fear could not have arisen. Then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. These steps may be summarized in this way. Know first that this is fear. Fear arises from lack of love. The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. Perfect love is the atonement. Wow. That I must say that paragraph is just so simple and so laid out that I think anybody picking up this book, if they were to read that first, they would get the whole concept of A Course in Miracles. Because I mean, it's not like going through the 50 principles and the other things that we have discussed up until this point, but that just to me, it just lays it bare. It's makes it seem so simplistic and so easy to understand. I mean, that's just the way I see it. Okay.
Mhm. And I kind of see it the complete opposite.
Which means we're gonna have a good discussion. Oh.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of times we don't know what love is. So we don't know that we have not chosen to love.
Right.
You know, we think that we have chosen to love, but you know, we have I guess what's the word? Misunderstood what love is, and we haven't used the correct definition of love, even within ourselves. So,
Right.
you know, I kind of think that, you know, if you don't know that you have not chosen, that you have chosen not to love, if you don't know that, but you think that you're acting out of love, and, you know, then that kind of, you know, that's what I think that where fear comes in, because, you know, you think that you have, you know, that if I thought this was love at first, now what is love? So that's what I'm seeing it. So
Okay.
so yeah, let's go by, let's go through this.
Okay. I'm all for that. The first, Andre and Richard should be in on this one. Thinking about that last session we had with the two of them. The first corrective step in undoing the error is to know first that the conflict is an expression of love, of fear, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think perhaps looking at this and thinking back to our younger years, when our concept of love was actually not love at all. I think our concept of love and what love is and is all about in our younger years was more biological than it was spiritual, if you understand what I'm getting at. And if somebody that we thought we were in love with, so to speak, if they did something that kind of took their attention away from us, whether it was look at somebody else or make a comment of complimenting someone else, usually another female, we became jealous or envious, or we didn't like it, so to speak. And as we grew older, as we got older, wiser, and experienced life more, we began to see what love really is. And it's an unconditional feeling, for lack of a better word to describe it, but we now know that it is an unconditional feeling or expression, and things that used to perhaps trigger us into negative feelings, whatever they might be, they no longer bother us. And if they do, it's only for a very brief moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that because well, it says the first corrective step in undoing the error is to know first that the conflict is an expression of fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, I think that most, especially if we're going back to, when we were young,
Right.
and, so many years ago, and, love was, it was put into compartments. There was
Right.
romantic love. There was the love that you had for your family. There was the love that you had for your nation. There was the love that you had for that. So it wasn't, what's the word, like a conglomerate, it wasn't homogenized. It was very separated.
Right. Right.
And so it was simple to for it to be conditional,
Right. Right.
so yeah. And if you weren't loving a specific way, then you couldn't be loved in return.
Exactly.
This is why, God was such a jealous God, because you had to love God properly. If you weren't loving God the way that he wanted you to love him, which meant that you had to, first of all, be a Christian. You couldn't be anything else other than that, or else you would go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that is still, that is still a
Still
very,
being taught.
yeah, that's still being taught that way. And so, that you do have a difficult time finding the love in that and finding the fear in that,
Exactly.
and if I was going to say, well, just, so if you still believe that, if that is what you still believe, and you are 100 years old, you're going to always believe that, and it's not going to change that, and that's not going to change that for you. And that's the thing that you will continue to base all of your truth on. So, and I would assume that maybe you can find your way out of that. But I mean, I think that you would always have some fear, you would always have some fear of, okay, just because it's happening to me, it might not happen to my children or my grandchildren or my friend or my neighbor, or, somebody else that I love. And, this whole thing about, well, God will wash away all of that, all of that remembrances, so that you don't remember those people, and so you're not gonna miss them in heaven anyway. So.
Yeah. And that statement, the conflict is an expression of fear. And what do we have to fear?
Going to hell. Going to hell.
Okay. Okay. But what I'm saying is, you fear, and again, this is more or less what I would consider young love. And I mean, why? And that's why I say, what do you have to fear? Except that you think that, well, just take, for instance, a situation, two children in the same family. The oldest one comes along and gets all the attention for a while. And then that second one comes along and begins to take away the attention that number one was getting, because mom and dad have to look after number two, because they are in the same position that you were when you first came into this world. And in some instances, unless it is nurtured, the love for that sibling is going to be minuscule, because you're jealous. You came in here and took all that attention away from me. I never will forget, my grandmother was a midwife, and one of her babies told me, and this is after we were grown, she said to me, she said, I didn't like your grandma, because she came to my house and brought this little squalling, screaming baby there. and took all the attention away from me. And like I said, she was telling me this, and she was expressing, how she felt when she was younger, when her younger sibling came along. And that's what I'm kind of getting at, because when we're younger, we don't really understand and know the meaning of love.
Exactly. And even if you want to take that example and bring it into a bigger scope, I mean, that's what all of the isms are: racism, sexism, ageism, all that's what everything is. Somebody is still jealous of something that is happening to and for someone else, and we're afraid that it's going to take away some of the stuff that we have. So I can't really, there will be some fear there, because if I'm fearing that I will not receive something, whatever it is imagined in my mind, that I'm not going to receive that because of you, then that's going to cause me fear.
Right.
And, so when you look at, the first corrective step is in undoing the error, is to know first that the conflict is an expression of fear. So I have to be able to recognize what the fear is.
Exactly.
As an individual, like you say, that one child, that one parent compose, I was just looking at the thing on TikTok, where I get all my news and information about, how many of the schools in Florida, they have a ban on books. So they are afraid that these people are going to learn something that will take something away from them. And all this is imagined. Nothing is, Ron DeSantis and at his age, nothing hurt him by knowing from that there was slavery in America, and that so, and for other things, the books that he's banning, that have to do with people of other races here in America, it didn't hurt him. So why is he afraid that it's going to hurt somebody else? Where is this coming from? And this expression of fear is that thing that, where, you have to be able to recognize that love. And I don't know if most people can't see it and they can't recognize it within themselves and for themselves. Yeah, I think that we will continue. And, I think that that's what the fear is. And that's
doesn't the Bible say that ye shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free?
Well,
are they afraid of? Are they afraid of? Are they afraid of being freedom? And
yes,
yes. And at the same time, sometimes the truth might hurt.
Yeah.
And I mean, really hurt.
Yeah.
I know when I was working in Colonial Williamsburg, and of course, because of the department that I was in and the subject we had to discuss, sometimes people would ask me questions. I never will forget one day, this lady said something to me about, well, don't you hate white people? I said, or something to that effect. That wasn't exactly how she stated it, but the way she stated it, I responded to her with, no, she wanted to know how did I feel. That's what it was. That's what it boiled down to. And my response to her was, ma'am, my European ancestors went to Africa, stole my African ancestors from their homeland and brought them here and made them work the land that they stole from my Native American ancestors. So how am I supposed to feel? And she just looked at me. She didn't ask me any more questions. And that's for sure. But
see,
and I think a lot of times when people don't look at their heritage, or they are in denial of their heritage, or in denial of their lifestyle, or of a certain lifestyle, it's all because they know that deep down inside they have those stirrings within them and they don't want anybody to know.
Yeah. And that's where the conflict is. And that's what that expression of fear is. So, you have to, everyone has to be.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, we do have to be, we do have to, we have to choose it. We have to choose it, and we all, and we got to keep, we got to keep turning the lights on, and we got to keep, keep the alarm clock going, because people, we as a civilization, we have to wake up to whatever this evolutionary period is, because we are going to have to get to this point where there is only love. That's what I think. And I think that if we don't understand what love is, and we're not really defining love, and if we're not really defining fear, then we'll always we won't know how to correct that. So let's see, on line 2, it says, say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love, or the fear could not have arisen. Yeah. And so, this is once you get to this point where you are ready to change. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and that is something that we really have to choose and mean it.
Yeah.
Mean it from the depths of our very soul, our very being, decide to choose. Can you hear me? Because I keep getting a flash that my internet is unstable.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, I don't have any problems. Can you hear me?
And you're breaking up now and then, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Let me know if I am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, let me know if I am, because we might have to. I don't know what to say, because I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with. I don't know what to do with technology.
Neither do I.
Yeah, so it's this one right here. It says, say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love, or the fear could not have arisen. And I think that one to me is easy to say, but not necessarily easy to comprehend.
I was just about to say, how can somebody choose not to love? Now, I can understand making the choice for whatever reason of not being around a lot of people. I can understand the choice of being perhaps, if it's a choice, of being fearful of people in general, if you don't know them, say strangers. But once, because I know even with me, sometimes I will encounter an individual and it'll be like, okay, the way my first impression of them, made me maybe a little uneasy. But then once I get to know the individual, that first impression is blown out of the water, so to speak. So you never know what, and sometimes it could be, because I believe in past lives, past lives, we've all been here before, is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes it could be something, an unresolved issue from a past life,
Yeah. But I think that that's why we have so many human rights issues throughout the world. I think that's why we are still human trafficking people, is because we have chosen not to love. People know better. People know you're not supposed to steal nobody's children. People know this. That's why they try not to get caught. But they have chosen not to love. And I think that they often keep choosing that. I think that, that whole, this whole, what our government is experiencing now, that, we're going to just make women have babies. We're just going to make women have babies. We're regardless of what's going on with their health, what's going on in their families, what's going on with their bodies. We just,
But a 10-year-old child,
a 10-year-old child, yeah, they're going to, because they choose not to love. They're choosing not to love these people, and
they're using them and not loving them.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So it is easy to me to say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love. It's easy to choose not to love. In my, I see it like all the time, that these people have chosen not to love because of the life that they live. If you are ensnaring somebody else, and we're just talking about, these kind of physical things that people are doing to people, but, look what the big banks are doing. Look what, look how we are being ensnared through our finances, all of that's choosing not to love someone else because we just want to keep something for ourselves, and or the fear could not have arisen. So we are so, and that just goes to show the fear that is available to them. They have so much, fear that they are, that they still keep stealing from people, and they keep ruining their environment, or they keep doing this because of their own personal fear of whatever it is that they're afraid of. They're afraid of, being poor, or, afraid of not having enough, or afraid of not being caught, or, of their sexuality, or, of how they want to look at somebody else, so we have so much to I guess to grasp, and to make that choice. And yeah, I think that it is important that we do have mandates. we do have to protect the rights of people. We do have to fight for it. Sometimes we have to be willing to die for it sometimes, and so that other people can have a better life, because that's what I think that's what love does. And maybe why don't we look up the words love and fear so we can kind of define them right now, so that everybody who's, who might not be familiar with the course or familiar with these words, what they actually mean.
Well,
I think in this glossary they have. And my other book is in the other room. What love is. Let me run.
Okay.
Oh, you got yours.
I have the revealing word.
Okay.
The pure essence of being that binds together the
What
whole.
Is this love? You're reading love? Okay.
Yeah. The pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family. Of all the attributes of God, love is undoubtedly the most beautiful. In divine mind, love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it, the great harmonizing principle known to man. And then it goes on with divine love is impersonal. It loves for the sake of loving. It is not concerned with what or who it loves, nor with a return of love. Like the sun, its joy is in the shining forth of its nature. Love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. And that's from 1 Corinthians 13th chapter, 4th verse. And it goes on to say, love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. Love is the greatest harmonizer and healer. Whoever calls on God as Holy Spirit for healing is calling on divine love. Divine love will bring your own to you, adjust all misunderstanding, and make your life and affairs healthy, happy, harmonious, and free. Love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from Charles Fillmore, the revealing word.
Yeah, so we're seeing love as harmonious, binding, and healing. So when you're thinking about like love in a family, we just we're gonna take it down to like a really elementary level, and there's a mother, a father, or spouses. Let's put spouses. There are spouses and children in this nuclear family unit. In this nuclear family unit, everybody is loving one another harmoniously, whether they got ups and downs and strifes and turmoils, or joys and some types of some euphoria. They have all of these things combined, but it's binding. It's binding this family unit together, so that a generation down the road we'll still be talking about this family, because the love that bound that family together has continued to from each generation down. So if we can see humanity like that, as that one nuclear unit, and that there's some ups and downs, there's some some highs and some lows, some good times and some bad times, but in general everybody is harmonious, and we're bound together,
right,
so that we can learn how to follow through in that essence so that we can begin to, tell everybody, to pass that down from one generation to another generation. Now let's read, can you read fear?
Oh. Fear, painful emotion marked by alarm, dread, disquiet. And that's from Webster. And this is coming from the revealing word. Fear is one of the most subtle and destructive errors that the carnal mind in man experiences. Fear is a paralyzer of mental action. It weakens both mind and body. Fear throws dust in our eyes and hides the mighty spiritual forces that are always with us. Blessed are those who deny ignorance and fear and affirm the presence and power of spirit. And that's all he has to say there.
Yeah, so fear, and both of these, love and fear, both of these are attached to our emotional bodies.
Exactly.
So there's, there's a lot of feeling attached to these two things. And if you are, and we generally fear not being loved.
Yes.
I think that's what fear was telling us, right? That when you describe fear,
yeah,
basically telling, yeah.
It's well, no, I was going to say it's one of the most subtle and destructive errors that the carnal mind and man experiences. And when you think about it, it is, because and he goes on to even say that it's paralyzing, because if you desire something and you have to go through certain or jump through certain hoops and all that in order to attain that something that you desire. And when you look at all that you have to do in order to obtain it, and the fear of whatever in obtaining this goal is holding you back from getting it. In other words, you're afraid because of whatever, for some reason or another, and you never achieve it. It's just like, and I think it was you. What was that acronym for fear?
Future events appearing real.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, it in many instances, and I would say maybe even 90% of the time, it's a waste of time. Because if you decide, oh, to heck with it, I'm going to go through and I'll just take my chances, and you go through whatever it is you have to do in order to attain that goal or that prize or whatever, and when you come out victorious on the other side, it's like, why did I fear that?
Yeah. And that, so, that's, and that's why I was saying, this is, not easy for me. This paragraph to me, it doesn't seem easy, because I don't think that most of us have been taught how to love. And I think that we have, actually been taught to fear. I think that that's what what our main programming has been to fear, has not been to love. And if it is and if love is involved, the love is very conditional,
Right. Yeah.
So,
I guess I guess I can consider myself having been blessed to have loving parents. Um,
I was too.
I can probably count on my hand the number of times that I saw my mother and father get into a spat,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and I always felt loved from both my father and my mother. Of course, my father was a more loving and affectionate kind of person. My mother was not as loving, and I'm not saying this to put her down or anything, but she was not one, shall I say, that will express. And my brother, he would often say to me, he says, "You're more like daddy," because my my father was a hugger.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, on the other hand, was not.
Right.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make. My father was he was the type of person that showed love with a hug
Mm-hmm.
or a compliment. My mother, on the other hand, I would say she was, God rest her soul. Sometimes I get angry with her when I think about it. But to me, she was a perfectionist. And it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I did not adhere to her line of work, because she expected, and she was an artist. I mean, she was a seamstress, but to me, she was, when I think about her now and the way she paid attention to every little detail in whatever it was she was putting together, she paid attention to every little detail. And if it wasn't right, she would rip it out and start all over again. And of course, that's what used to make me so mad, because she's trying to teach me how to sew. And if it didn't meet her standard, tear it
Mm-hmm.
out and start all over again, kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing.
Yeah.
But when I look back on it made me angry then. But when I look back on it now, I thank her, for that love that she did show me.
Mm-hmm. And that was part of that system of expression of fear.
Mm-hmm.
She had to be able to do it right. First of all, she was a woman. You know,
Mm-hmm.
women
And
was
the
could
oldest
not make
child in the
mistakes.
family.
Yeah, that's so to me, um, this is that like that rock bottom thing. Yeah, it looks easy, it looks simple,
Mm-hmm.
because that's exactly where you end up. But we have a lot of work to do to get there,
Right. Right.
so
Exactly.
yeah, and
And
you can't expect that everybody will see it the same way,
right.
and that's just the thing. Everybody's not going to see love the same. Everybody's not going to be able to see fear the same, but
Exactly.
so as each one of us corrects um ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we have to include in that correction the other person who is also trying to show love, but they're
Right.
just showing love through that lens of fear.
Exactly. And when you stop and think about it, um, very often bad behavior, if bad behavior, and I'm thinking about a child now, if bad behavior on the part of a child will get mom and dad's attention, taking it away from that younger sibling, then that is fertile ground for bad behavior for the rest of their lives if it's not brought under control or not corrected at some point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because my mom used to tell me when my brother when we were younger, my mom would tell me my brother would do things because he liked to tease, but he couldn't take it. And when he would start teasing me and I would get upset, my mother would look at me and she said, don't pay him no mind. You know, and when you don't pay attention, unless it's to avoid some kind of catastrophe, and I mean serious catastrophe, sometimes you're better off not paying attention to that bad behavior. And then later on, when you get the person in the child in the right frame of mind, you sit down and let them know, I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, screaming and yelling at them when they're, doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Sit them down, talk to them, tell them, and let them know the consequences of that kind of bad behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's just the thing, that's just the thing what we have to do with adults. And that's what they should be doing within our
System.
systems,
Mhm.
but that's just the thing, you got bullies that are running the system that they're not trying, that, they're not looking to help. But anyway, let's move on because let's see, number 3.
We're getting ready to go down a rabbit hole there.
Right. Then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. And see, this is the thing that, so this to me is what we have in our society, this Western America, and this American society. I think we go through these pragmatic steps of, what it means to be good.
Mhm.
You look like this, you stand like this, you have this type of thing, you have that type of thing, and I think that that's the thing that is a big deterrent. It says, then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. And kind of that's what I'm seeing, is that if you're only seeing it as a series of pragmatic steps, but it's just there's no depth to it. You know what I'm saying? There's no, we're not really searching our, shedding ourselves of it. We're just making sure that, okay, so A plus B plus C equals D,
Mhm.
that's how I'm seeing that sentence. How do you see it?
Nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process. Why do we have to go through pragmatic steps? Why can't we just love and be loved? I mean, why do we have to prove ourselves?
I mean, is that what they're saying? Is that what it's saying?
That's what I'm getting. It said the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. Why do we have to go through pragmatic steps? Why can't we just be who we are? And it boils down to the 2 commandments that Christ gave his disciples and his followers. Love thy neighbor as thyself, and love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. And if you can do that, what kind of steps are we supposed to go through?
Mm-hmm.
That's that, that's why what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where,
Well, I think that,
no, I
for,
was just thinking about
for me, it's that
when I,
whole, that it's the, the series of pragmatic steps.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm not reading it right. Then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. And, that's, you know, okay, so let's read the steps. These
Okay.
steps may be summarized in this way. Know first that this is fear. So I guess it's recognizing what fear is.
Mhm.
Fear arises from lack of love.
Mhm.
The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. Perfect love is the atonement. So if these are the steps, then you know, um, you might have to do it in a pragmatic way. Everybody not the same. Everybody can't simply be themselves. They don't know who they are.
Well,
You
this is so true.
you
This
know.
is so true. And, well, I'm more or less a cockeyed optimist, a Pollyanna. That's me. And that's the way I look on life. And I just feel like if I can be this way, why can't everybody else?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it when you stop and think about it, the realization of it, the truth of it, um, am I being fair to those who have not had the experience of loving parents, loving family, caring family that I have had? And on the other hand, I have met people that have been through, well, been through hell, really. And their take on life and their way of treating people and all is, and when you hear their stories, and I mean their stories that have give that they have lived through tragedies after tragedies and cruelty after cruelty, but at the same time, they are kind and loving individuals. And I guess that is where I have the difficulty in understanding why some people are so mean and so unforgiving.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I really do see that some things, something, personalities
Mhm.
are, how, we are, we can really get tangled up. We can really get tangled up in our emotions and
Yeah, we
our,
can.
our descriptions of self and our sensations of self. And it is easy to judge people based
It,
on, what I have gone through,
right, right,
or what I haven't gone through,
right.
so I think that, I think the thing that really confuses me here is then when it says, then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more. I think nothing more for me, it simply means it's almost negatable. I really don't have to follow this process because it's nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps. It's kind of
Mhm.
almost useless, you know. I mean, so that's why I'm saying I don't know if I'm reading it wrong or
No, you're getting from it exactly what you're supposed to at this time.
Yeah. Because I mean, yes, the atonement is the remedy. I mean, because
Yeah,
that's just the whole truth of it anyway. We're already there. Everybody's
right,
already there, in
exactly.
in
Atonement, forgiveness.
right,
Atonement equals forgiveness
right. And that
yeah,
is what
or
perfect love is.
forgiveness.
We're already there. But we do have to unravel, experiences,
Hmm.
and thought systems, and things that have been taught to us, and or things just simply about our bodily chemical makeup, you know
Right,
that
right,
that limits us to a segment or a way of thinking,
right, right.
so yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and no, unless you share with somebody what you have been through, or what kind of hardships you've had to suffer, or what you have witnessed, maybe not necessarily been a part of, but have witnessed, um, will influence how forgiving you can be, how at one with your sisters and brothers you can be, unless somebody they share it with you what they've been through. And
Mhm.
I very often, and people will say to me, why why don't uh they will complain or judge or criticize someone actions or behavior. And one of the things, and I don't, when I say things, sometimes I'm not trying to make excuses for somebody's behavior if we see it as not being good behavior. Uh, what I'm developing within my own heart is to be able to try and understand what that person has been through. I still will not necessarily agree with what somebody says or how they feel about something, but at the same time, when I know what they have been through, I can be more forgiving of their behavior. I'm not going to try and convince them that they are wrong, because at some point down the line, maybe they'll come to the conclusion that they were wrong. Then again, on the other hand, they might go through this life and feel that they were right no matter what.
Mhm.
And it's not for me to judge. It's not for me to criticize,
Right.
but just to be forgiving.
Yeah. And I think, and the more I'm looking at this sentence 3, because like I said, um, I didn't see this easy, I see this as, one of those, one of these difficult phrases that come with the course.
Okay.
That you you have to want to be here,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to want to be in this place of corrective step. And even if you want to, even if you are here for your own individual self or for the greater good, you got to know that there's a fight. I mean, sometimes you're gonna have to, that's what conflict is. It's gonna, it just might take me. I'm seeing the pragmatic steps better because I'm looking at this is Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the bus boycott. That was a strategic plan for for that time in the 50s, how they were going to correct this error of fear so that love could triumph.
Right.
And it wasn't anything that was easy. It was, brutal. It had a lot of, conflict. But, when you know that when you're coming in and you can, and those, I guess those are the pragmatic steps. They knew that they couldn't use the pregnant teenager as, as the poster child for, not wanting to sit on the bus, but they knew that they could use a almost passing, school teacherish, frail role model that people would stand behind, So they used Rosa Parks, and I can't remember the girl's name. I just had it in my head a little while ago.
Ruby Bridges?
Huh?
Ruby Bridges?
No. No. The girl, the pregnant girl who the whole thing, who started the whole thing, I'll think of her name in a minute. But anyway, so that was a system, that was a pragmatic plan of, here we are in fear, and fear has to move to love. And it's going to have to take this much effort and this much atonement. And you have to know each step. You got to know first that this is fear. Fear arises from the lack of love. The only remedy for the lack of love is perfect love. So, so they understood that, these women are going to have to walk in the dead of night sometimes to get to their jobs, to and from their jobs. These people are going to be harassed and harmed. There's going to be harm. There's going to be a lot of trouble that's going to come along with this until we get to this place of perfect love and atonement. And it has lasted. It has lasted from then, from the 1950s to where we are now.
Exactly.
So, so within that concept, I think I can see it better, as opposed to only seeing it, through, but through one individual, But I do know that you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready and have made up your mind that this is the step that you want to make to come from, to come from one phase of fear to that place of love.
Right.
Okay, so
and
that worked it out for me.
I was just, as you were talking, several movies came to mind as you were talking, and one of them was The Help. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
And then I thought, about The Butler, and and the things that those individuals had to go through in order to provide for their families. It's just amazing, and the stamina and the patience that they seem to have to, because looking at it a more comedic effort, I forget now which one of the comedians.
Claudette Colvin.
Oh,
that was
okay.
The girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was the little girl that was the 15-year-old girl that was pregnant, who told the man she won't gonna sit on. she won't gonna let him have her seat. Yeah. Okay. Now.
But yeah, as I was saying, there are so many, and I mean, these are just individual stories, just regular everyday people going about their business, and look at what they have accomplished. so that there's a, what is it? Rosa sat so that, I forget now, but anyway, it's a steps, and it's talking about, particularly about the things that Black women have had to go through over time in order for, well, before Kamala Harris became vice president, they took it up to Barack Obama and said that, you know, so that he could run, because it began with Rosa Parks sitting, and then, you know, the steps that a baby goes through before because they sit first, then they crawl, then they walk, or toddle, walk, you know. I forget now what the phrase is. I'm sure you've heard it. I just can't think of it right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, I can see that, now that we've had some chances to go, because this was a difficult paragraph for me, and it's, but that's just the thing about each individual, that's why we have these discussions, so that we can, see it.
Right.
Because, I mean, you read that and you said, okay, this immediately tells me, and that didn't tell me nothing immediately. I don't know, this ain't nothing, but I don't know what this is saying. This is not saying that to me.
and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing, because
that's a good thing.
Because that's the value of having a group,
right,
and having conversations, so that we can, break it down, so that so each of us can understand and actually live it, because that's the whole purpose of it,
right.
So that so we can live it and move and move in directions, and like I was able to see how it works for me in my mind, and I hope that anybody else, when they see it, they might have different stories or different concepts to go along with it, that that will help them.
Right, right.
Do you want to look at? Okay, go ahead.
Let's hope they share those concepts with us in the comments on YouTube.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting that part.
Yeah.
So let's look at the manual for teachers, and we said that we would look at let's see, what are the levels? No, the characteristics of teachers.
Wait a minute. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? Did we discuss trust the last time?
Yeah, trust was the thing we discussed the last time. So this time we're going to, we're discussing the development of trust.
Development of trust.
Yeah. And we said that, we would go through each one of these for, each week. And this one to me, this kind of breaks down what we were just talking about is, these are the pragmatic steps.
Right. Development of trust.
Yeah. Because it talks about how you develop this type of trust. You got to have trust. And this is, we spoke last week about what trust looks like, but now we understand how we go through it. And I just kind of like highlight these first
the first sentence of each one of the paragraphs.
Yeah, that's what I highlighted.
So did I.
Okay. So it says, first they must go through what is called a period of undoing. So, and this is that part that, like I was saying, it's painful, because if you don't know what love is, then you probably will experience some pain if you're gonna have to undo your way, everything that you have known in your life. Now you got to do it differently, and that might that could cause some pain. Exactly.
I think of it. I don't know if you do needlework or not, but I crochet, and I enjoy crochet because I can create something much faster. And I don't have a problem with pulling it out if I made a mistake. Now, on the other hand, I knit also, but I don't do it as much because it's tedious when you have made an error and it's so obvious that it needs to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, you have to pull it out. And of course, with crochet, only one stitch on a needle at a time. In knitting, every stitch is on either one or the other of the two needles that you're using in order to make
Right.
it. And you got to make sure that you don't drop one of those stitches when you're pulling it out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, so it can be very painful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is the second sentence here. It says, this doesn't need to be painful, but it usually is experienced that way.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, because
Exactly.
and that's what you were saying earlier, is that, we don't need to, we don't need to see it as painful, but sometimes the truth hurts.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And
when it hurts, that means that there's a lesson to be learned, and you better learn it, unless you want to continue hurting.
Yeah. And sometimes even though you have changed, whatever you have done in your past to create pain, that might never not be remembered. Somebody might always bring this up to you. I remember back, when you did this thing, you were 22, but now you're 75 and you have done a whole bunch of wonderful things. But I still remember back when you was 22 that time, and sometimes, we have to, just kind of like suck that up, because I did it. Yeah, I learned from it. And I know I'm going to hear it. I know I'm going to hear that all the rest of my life. And that's just what it is. So, you sometimes you can't run from things, can't run from the truth.
You can't run, you can't hide. You know what I thought about as you were talking about that? I thought about Joseph, and how as a young teenager, he was talking, telling his brother about his dreams and how they're going to bow down to him and all. And of course, that made them jealous because, well, they were jealous of him to begin with, because of who his mother was, because his father loved his mother more than he did the other brothers, except for Benjamin. And when they came face to face with him, they were still fearful that he would do something to retaliate. But he, in his maturity and in his experiences, he was taught that all of this was for the good of all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because he wasn't like them, because they would have done him the same way again.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, let's see. The next one is the teacher of God must go through a period of sorting out. And this is always somewhat difficult, because having learned that the changes in his life are always helpful, he must now decide all these things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. And that's when we have to, make these decisions about our lives. Is this good today? This thing I learned yesterday, and is this going to be good not only for me but for everybody else?
Right.
And you got to do that all the time.
Exactly.
My phone. Let's see. Number 3, the third stage through which the teacher of God must go can be called a period of relinquishment. If
Giving
this
up.
is,
Giving up.
Yeah.
Letting go.
Yeah, but it says, if this is interpreted as giving up the desirable, it will engender enormous conflict. So, we got to be able to see the love in that. We got to put love in that, so that I'm not giving up the thing that's desirable. I know, a lot of people, when people say, especially well now that I'm older, you don't have these many conversations. but when I was younger, people, used to say that, I'm not ready to be a Christian yet. I'm not ready to be what is God going to ask from me? Because they nobody wanted to give up the thing, whatever it was. They didn't want to give up that thing. So,
Exactly.
So you know so now as you get a little bit closer to understanding our actions as a teacher, now we understand that I'm not really giving up anything. It's just I love creation this much. So it's not that I'm giving up this thing. I'm putting more love into it as to my concept of giving up.
And are you really giving up? You're trading a good thing for a better thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. That's for that individual to decide.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
they have to decide, whether they are trading up, because sometimes it might not seem like an up trade.
right.
It might not seem like a trade up,
But usually, I would say that it may not seem like you're trading up, but in essence, unless you're doing something that is going to be devastating to you and those around you, I would say that in most instances, you are, like I said, giving up a good thing for something better. Or relinquishing, let's put it that way, relinquishing something good for something better. It's just like when you're in a job and you love your job, you love what you're doing, but then an opportunity comes along that is even more exciting, or more that seems to be, and sometimes it turns out to be, to make that change the best thing you've done. And in some instances, you long and desire to be back where you were before you took this position. So, but you don't know until you try it.
Yeah. Okay, number 6 says a period of settling down. This is a quiet time in which the teacher of God rests a while in reasonable peace. He now consolidates his learning. Now he begins to see the transfer value of what he has learned. And I think that that's kind of like important, because when we're seeing the value of things, because sometimes when you in that thing of relinquishing, the thing that we might be relinquishing, that might be very valuable to us.
Right.
At the time, or, and now the other thing, yeah, that's valuable, but, yeah. Am I ready to move from point A to point B?
The point B.
And this is what this is saying, is that once you have gotten there, now just sit back and rest in some reasonable peace, and to see the value of where we are right now. That's what this one was telling me earlier when I read it. Okay, we got a couple more to go through.
Yeah, 2 more.
The next state is indeed a period of unsettling. Now the teacher of God understands that now must the teacher of God understand that he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that he really learned so far was that he did not want the valueless, and that he did want the valuable. And this this is the thing that was, that I saw that was, this one was a little bit challenging too, is that, when you are making a decision, you have to kind of like analyze what your choices are. I guess that's when you do your pros and your cons, and you see what was really valuable and what wasn't. And I think that number 8 was the thing that kind of helped me. That's what I have here, is that he must learn to lay all judgment aside and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. And I think that that's really important, because a lot of times we think we want something. That's when people say, the grass was greener on the other side. Do you really, really want this? And if this is something that you really want, then you will be able to hold on to the thing that you see as valuable,
Right.
whether anybody else sees it as valuable at all or not. Do you have anything you wanted to say?
No,
Okay.
it's my phone.
Okay. And finally, there is a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now what was seen as merely shadows before become solid gains, to be counted on in all emergencies, as well as tranquil times. Indeed, their tranquility is their result, the outcome of honest learning, consistency of thought, and full transfer. This is the stage of real peace, for here is heaven's state fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is here. Who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete? And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than this?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because once you have achieved that goal, once you are there, then now this is my motto. This is the thing I have learned from. I know how not to, if an emergency comes, I know, okay, that looks like a scam. Let me not do that. Or this is the way out. Let's go in this direction. I think that these are the things that we have learned. And, when we get to this place of tranquility and peace, I mean, who doesn't want to stay peaceful?
Really? Unless you just, are disruptive by nature.
And some people always are looking for the next new thing, and but once you have learned that peace is in the next new thing, the next, you'll be peaceful. You'll see that as in a peaceful way as also.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that was our Course in Miracles study for the day. I think that we got through both of them.
Yeah, we did.
We did. So if anybody, so this is how valuable I see that life is in A Course in Miracles. It really helped me understand what I was looking for, when I was, and even still when I read the Bible, the Bible can be so broad that I can't really see the nugget of it. But the Course in Miracles helps me be able to see the nugget in it, so that I can see what it means, not only to me, but what it can mean, in my walk in life too. So I guess I
On
can
the spiritual journey.
yes, I can go ahead and do my thing in the round table since I'm already talking.
Okay.
I think what the thing that I learned from this class today, it really is that whole thing about the pragmatic steps, you know, is that when we come to when you come to a place where you are accepting change from fear to love, I don't have to fear the conflict. I can have these pragmatic steps to get from point A to point Z, and understanding that all throughout the way, it's just all that is just time. It's just going to take some time here, in this space, and then I can move it on, and so that really helps me in accomplishing whatever goal I want to accomplish.
Right.
So what about you? What did you get from the course today?
Well, for me, it was, I would say, a kind of a confirmation, because I know when I go through the text and other parts of the Course in Miracles, I find myself continually taking what was dictated to Helen Schuckman and comparing it to what was written by those scholarly men, because most of them was writing what we consider the Holy Bible today, and comparing those things and kind of, seeing, where one is confirming the other, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, just, having the two to look at and compare is, to me, is eye-opening. It's enlightening. It's what else can I say?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
very
and
true.
and to put it in a light form, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I find it fun. Yeah.
Well, that's it for tonight. Now tomorrow we have Introduction to Gnosis with Reverend Sakina, and that's going to be 7 till 8:30. Oh, and also tomorrow morning at 11 we have our session with Forrest on I Am, and that's going to be from 11 to 12.
Okay.
And that's tomorrow morning. We don't really have anything for Friday. So, but Saturday, we'll have a class on angels. And, this is something that we can talk about from time to time, because, that whole subject of angels are really big.
Yes.
You go to, once you have angels, then you got your demons, and they're pretty interesting too, that whole time. I mean, all of that angelology is really fascinating. So we'll do that on Saturday, and on Sunday we are reinstating or just getting back to, not even reinstating, we're just getting back to, because we slough off sometimes, or things just get busy, and next thing you know it's somewhere else. But we're getting back to our journaling. And so the way that we're going to just kind of journal through ideas of what what classes in Inner Haven have helped us, or haven't helped us, or is helping us, or how it's moving us along, or how is it giving us some insight to what life is. And so that's how we're going to start off with that. Okay, well then that's it for this evening, unless you have anything else to say, Harriet.
No, I think you covered everything, brought us up to speed as far as what we're doing over the next 7 days.
Okay, cool
So,
beans.
we're good to go.
Okay, great. Would you like to close us out in prayer?
I will. And let us sit back and close our eyes and ask the Creator to bless us that we are able to get through this prayer without any interruptions from outside forces. Take in a deep, full, cleansing breath. And as we inhale, realize we are inhaling health, wellness, wealth, abundance, and all the positivity that the universe has to give. Let those positive energy vibes circulate through our bodies, energizing us, healing us. And as we exhale illness, disease, lack, poverty, and negativity. But realize that when we exhale, that is feeding the plants, the trees, the grass, the flowers that give us the oxygen that makes us heal or helps us to heal. We are grateful for this time that we've spent together this day, discussing this Course in Miracles, helping us to grow spiritually as well as mentally and physically, showing us the path, opening the path, lighting the way, gaining knowledge and understanding. And may we gain wisdom to use that knowledge and understanding to make this world a better place for all of us. And so it is.
And so it is. Okay, thank you, everybody. Oh, let's see. Don't forget to like and comment.
Like and comment.
Like and comment.
And
Yes.
subscribe.
And subscribe, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Love you.
Thank you. Love you
Bye.
all. Bye-bye.